Meanwhile, more mixed messages from the White House and the Pentagon over what's going on in Ukraine. Listen to this.
We're talking about helping train the troops that are the Ukrainian troops that are in Poland.
Yesterday, did the president accidentally reveal a previously unknown effort for the U.S. to be training Ukrainian forces in Poland during his answer in the press conference?
No. The troops that he met with in Poland routinely interact with Ukrainians. That is something that's known.
I do not believe that we are in the process of currently training military forces from Ukraine and Poland.
Joining me right now is Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty. He is a member of the Foreign Relations, Appropriations, and Banking Committee. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. So how do you assess all of these gaffes that the White House has to walk back? I mean, I've been asking if this is a national security issue because we know that anything that Vladimir Putin sees that resembles, Poland or any NATO countries getting involved in this war can tip us and the other allies into this. And I'm wondering if some of these mistakes that the president keeps making are more dangerous than we know.
It's deeply concerning, Maria. You know, before I became United States Senator, I served as U.S. Ambassador to Japan. In diplomacy, when you're working overseas representing the United States, your words matter. You need to be precise. As you said, President Biden is being anything but precise and is presenting a serious national security risk for us and actually endangering Ukraine and our neighbors in NATO.
So what about the response to Ukraine? Zelensky continues to beg for air power. I know that the allies have said no to a no-fly zone because of that very reason, about tipping the allies into this war. But are we doing enough? Many people, most of the people I've spoken with, say that this president is slow-walking it. Is he intimidated by Putin? He doesn't want to upset Putin by assisting Ukraine?
Well, Maria, just go back to the very beginning of his engagements with Putin. Is he intimidated by him? Well, I don't know. The New START treaty that he negotiated with Putin, if you even want to call it a negotiation, that treaty was a terrible term for the United States. President Trump wasn't going to extend it until he got more reciprocity in the treaty. Biden just extended it for 5 years with no improvement. Putin signed it immediately. When the Russians attacked the Colonial Pipeline here in America, what were the repercussions? Nothing. Joe Biden instead shows up with a list of 16 industries that Putin shouldn't attack. I mean, he hasn't seen any sort of resolve coming from this president, that is Putin. So I think that this continues to play into a position of weakness. Putin sees advantage here, and we need to be very careful about how President Biden speaks as he moves forward.
Well, Senator, you are on the Foreign Affairs Committee. What do you know about the Iran deal? What can you tell us about the U.S. getting back into the Iran deal and allowing Russia to buy the excess uranium from Iran, getting business back on board for Iran, the biggest supporter of terrorism?
It's just shocking, and there's bipartisan concern here in the Senate, Maria, about the movement toward the Iranian deal again. It's going to be a worse deal than the previous one, which was a bad deal for America, a bad deal for the world. We're talking about giving over $80 billion immediate cash from South Korea in the billions to the world's greatest sponsor of terror. We're going to put Russia in a position to negotiate this on our behalf. And again, Russia's trying to navigate this. They're trying to maneuver it so that they can get around the sanctions that we've imposed, putting Russia back in business.
Is there anything you can do to stop it? Have you been briefed on this?
I have been briefed on it. I've got legislation that would force this agreement to come to the United States Senate for review. We are trying to do everything we can on this side to keep the Biden administration from navigating around the Senate. The normal process is to bring this to us as a treaty. If they try to do something different than that, we have ANARA, we have other abilities to come in and push back on this. But as I said, there is bipartisan concern about what the Biden administration is doing. And if you look at our allies, we're moving our allies in the Middle East, into the direction of Russia. This is a terrible deal for America. It's a bad deal for everybody concerned.
Do you have any idea why he's so obsessed with getting the U.S. back into it?
I think it's a vanity project, if you will, for Joe Biden and John Kerry. They are going back to the days of the Biden administration, the Obama-Biden administration. It seems that they want to revive this deal at any cost. Our allies are going to suffer as a result of this, and America is going to suffer. The world will be a less safe place if they do it.
Well, Senator, all of this in the face of the wide-open border that appears to be picking up the pace with increasing numbers of illegal migrants crossing into America. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz says that the U.S. is nearing an alarming milestone in just the last 6 months. Listen to this.
Probably in the next 2 or 3 days, we'll hit over 1 million encounters or apprehensions along the southwest border.
1 million 6 months in, Senator. That does not include the gotaways, as you know, those people who slipped past border agents without getting caught. That number is expected well above 650,000 in the last year, and it is expected to grow as the administration overrules and reverses course on Title 42. That rule expires today, Senator. What are you expecting?
Well, Maria, no one's been better than you at covering this. The Biden administration has created the greatest national security crisis that we face as a nation by collapsing our southern border when they came into office. This is a tragedy that's occurring there. And today, if they allow this to expire, the Title 42, that means that this onslaught is going to continue. We'll see a massive new wave of illegal immigrants coming across this border. More fentanyl, more drugs, more human trafficking. This has been a tragedy of epic proportions. The Biden administration is precipitating this directly. If you look at their new budget, they're defunding all the border protection there. They're increasing expenditures for all types of Green New Deal, new Green Deal exploits, but they're defunding the border in every effort to protect it. This is a massive crisis, and I expect that if they allow Title 42 to expire, we're going to see again another wave, another bad wave of immigration coming across this border in illegal fashion.
Senator, I know you've seen this up close and personal. You're going back to the border as well in a few weeks. What are you expecting the result of this overturning of Title 42 to be? Explain why Title 42 going away is a bad idea.
Title 42 has been for the protection of our health and safety here in America. We've been able to use that to keep the pandemic at bay because the people coming across the border are bringing with them all types of disease. COVID has been the #1 concern. If we delete this title, if we delete this ability to block people coming that way, we're going to have, again, a massive onslaught. And the people have already built up at the border anticipating this. So we're going to see another massive wave that happened just like it did when Joe Biden came into office. They're going to crush our border. They're going to overwhelm our, any ability that we've got to protect the border. And we're going to see just another wave of illicit drugs in the process.
Wow. Senator, thanks very much for your insights on all of that. We'll keep following it. Thank you, sir. Senator Bill Hagerty this morning.